Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm in my workshop and I'm going to introduce you to this garment that I have purchased. And I'm going to explain a little bit why I've chosen it. Now, I am still dealing with an eye injury, so I'm not going into the woods and I'm not putting my body under any strain. Basically, I'm trying to stop myself damaging any blood vessels within my eye or straining myself to the point that I could detach or upset anything else within my eye. Basically, I'm under doctor's orders to take things extremely easy. In fact, sitting down in bed rest. So I am not going to be doing anything physical because after all, I want to regain the full sight of my eye. But in any case, how did that happen? You're probably thinking, working a piece of work, not paying full attention, thinking about something I was going to be doing after I finished doing the bit of work. I was basically trying to get ahead of the game, doing a little bit of cutting of wood and you know, work on some items that would have speeded things up on Monday. But I was thinking about what else I was going to be doing on that particular day. The drill locked up, and as it locked up, it snapped the bit that I was working in the drill, and the drill flew back up around and it came down with the body across the side of my face here. My glasses did save my eye, but if I'd worn full safety glasses or a mask, possibly the impact wouldn't have been so severe on my face. I'm dealing with that, and doctor's orders are to take things easy, no lifting, no sudden jerky movements or nothing like that. Basically sit down or bed rest. Basically I'm immobile. The theory being that we don't burst any blood vessels or detach anything or cause any stress to my eye, meaning further damage, giving it a chance to heal. So that's what I'm doing. So no wild camping or anything outdoors at the moment. But yeah, Alpenflage. I bought this to do the Highland way. I did a bit of research on ponchos because it's been made clear that ponchos will serve me better than possibly waterproofs. So I've purchased this item here. The reason I've purchased it is because I think it has one benefit above all else or all other products. And we'll discuss that. So yeah, this actual camouflage pattern is called Alpenflage, and it's been in service with the Swiss Army for pretty much just after the Second World War through the Cold War era. But I think it's no longer in service. I think somewhere in the 90s it kind of dropped off, and they now have a new camouflage pattern, probably more in line with what we would traditionally call camouflage as we know it here in the UK and other nations. The pattern itself, even though with those reds and the standout colours that are on that pattern may look odd, they may look of no use to you, hiding you because of the colour schemes and the patterns, it was thought that in the alpine environment that would serve you well. And indeed, it must have made an impact on the troops and the commanding officers to keep this camouflage pattern in service for as long as it did. There is a lot of it now coming onto the surplus market, army surplus market, quite simply because they must have held vast stocks of this. And I can imagine during the Cold War, there was probably a lot of it bought, purchased and put in storage for if the USSR did actually come across the borders and invade the West, they would have a ready stock of this. They could mobilize their civilian population into the military, and there would be items like this to issue to them to, well, basically go out and confront the Russian threat or advance. But there's a lot of this coming onto the market, or it has been on the market. It's still there. It doesn't seem to be drying up at the minute, but it has become collectible in its own right. It's unique And it's not something that's been born out of the catwalk or fashion markets where you see strange camouflage patterns for the civilian catwalk market and for people to don in urban environments, just to add that little bit of like something special to themselves. This was a working camouflage of the Swiss Army. So the Swiss Army has their camouflage pattern, which is referred to as TAS 90. This is regarded as the old camouflage pattern as TAS 83. Now, as you can see, it's a huge garment. I will open it up and let you have a look in a moment, but I'm just going to discuss why I chose it. Now, looking on the civilian market for ponchos, and indeed a lot of military ponchos, you always come with the wording that it's water resistant or water repellent if you look closely in it. And if you look at the reviews, a lot of reviews are extremely good, but if you look in depth, they will say they do eventually wet out. Now, this one here has one major advantage, and I'm going to state that straight away. The material itself that it's made of has been impregnated with kind of like a silicone rubber substance. This whole garment absolutely reeks or smells of rubber or rubberized substances. You feel it. It's got like a canvas feel, but it's not canvas. But you rub your finger across it, it's got a silicone rubber feel to it when you rub your finger across it. And when you smell it, you get a huge hit of like a silicone rubberized smell. You may have come across that similar type of smell if you've opened up a brand new like full waterproofs, or if you've been in the military and opened up tents that you've been told or been unfortunate enough to be instructed you're one of the ones that are going to go and put 5 tents up over there. When you open up the bag and get the tent out, you get a real waft of rubber and silicone and like water repellent substances. So this one here, the material is actually waterproof, not resistant or repellent. It's waterproof 100%. You could tip a bucket of water over this and it would just shed, and you could continue tipping water on it and it would just shed straight off. Like I said, it's not been treated with a spray or a chemical or a wax substance. It's been impregnated. The whole thing has a rubberized feel to it. So that is the reason I went with that, this item, quite simply because I wanted to be guaranteed I had a fully waterproof item. Right, this poncho is a beast. It is absolutely massive. But starting at the top, you've got a popper there just by the hood. Goes into a button, another popper there, another one there, and it finishes up here, leaving a big track of material which seemingly seems to flap around. There are poppers there, but they fix on the inside. There's poppers inside that you can kind of tuck this out the way if you so wish to create more leg room. But if you look at the actual camouflage, you can see it's extremely red. There is white flecks in amongst it. Now you might think that that's because it's been damaged, or you know, there's been something wasted on it. It's not. That white is supposed to be in amongst it. And like I said, this whole pattern looks extremely weird and strange, and a lot of people don't like it. But I think there's something unique about it, and I've grown fond of it. Now there is one drawback with this poncho. it doesn't come with any arms or shoulder extensions for when you put your arms out. It literally is as it is here. You put your arms through these holes here, and that is where your arms come out of. There is no shoulder extensions, so in theory you could possibly be getting your arms wet. But this is almost like having a tent when you're wearing it. There's enough room in it to have a Bergen and put this on, but because it opens right up at the front, you don't actually need to feed it over yourself. You can actually just put it on like a jacket and do it up. It's absolutely huge. You can't make a shelter out of it due to its configuration, not like the Dutch Army poncho. But I did actually think to myself, how often am I going to be out wild camping with just a poncho? I'm not in the military, I'm not doing any special ops or anything. I'm going to be taking a tarp, a roll mat and a bivvy and doing something a little bit more comfortable than trying to turn a poncho into a shelter. That has its place, but it has no place for me. So this poncho, even though I can't make a shelter out of it, still fits some of the criteria that I want. So this is the back of it, and you can see it is really wide. It really comes out that far. All the seams are taped, and it looks like they've been, all the sewing on it has been done really heavily, as you'd expect from a military item. This poncho has one other drawback other than not having any sleeves or shoulder extensions. It is extremely heavy. You're going to notice when you pick it up, it almost has the weight of a lightweight jacket. It is extremely heavy, and that's possibly because it's got so much rubber and silicone on it, so it's not a lightweight option. With the hood, you've got a fair size hood, and I will put it on in a moment, but that hood is absolutely quite extensive and massive. Obviously it's been designed with a helmet in mind. There is a popper here that you can, if I can clip it, there is a popper you can try to take some of that slack up, but it doesn't by any means make too much difference if you're not wearing any headgear. There's a drawstring up here which you can do it up around the neck, but I should imagine in high winds this thing is going to be a bit of a, almost like a kite, so I'm probably going to have to find some way of doing it up by putting a belt around the middle. But yeah, let's put it on and have a look at and see what it looks like. Now this here for wild camping, bushcrafting, hiking and outdoor activities is going to be a godsend when that weather really comes in. And I think I've made a really good purchase, and I can work with this. Right, looking at the hood itself, as you can see, I've done that popper up, which I think I showed you earlier, just to try and take up some of the slack from the hood. But you do have a draw cord here and a further popper here, which you can obviously pull it in tighter. And just below that, there is a button which then goes down the breast of the actual poncho, but then it goes straight back into poppers for the rest of it. So there is potential there to actually adjust the hood slightly, but like I said, it is a vast piece of material there, so possibly if you're wearing a hat of some description, that might help take up some of the slack. That's possibly what I'm going to do. But I've just shown you this is a vast piece of material. It's almost like walking around in a tent. Right, you can just see some faint numbers there, and it looks to be 70 and 130. It's very faded, and above it, it looks like 0673. So I'm guessing that down here is going to be the size, and the 0673 was date of manufacture, and that wouldn't be out of the question for the service life of this item and when it would have been manufactured for. 06 possibly the month, 73 the year. So if I was born in 1970, you guys do the maths. This has been around and it's still in good condition, well, now. Right, there are poppers pretty much all over this poncho. Like there's one down here, and I think you can basically configure it to take up a bit of the length and get the front flaps out of your legs if you're walking. But it is a fantastic item and I'm really pleased with my purchase. It cost mid 25-26 pound. That may seem a lot, but it is an old, almost vintage item, you could argue, that is still serviceable, and it offers something that other ponchos don't: guaranteed waterproofness. So then guys, the Alpenflage poncho, what do I think? My first initial thoughts on it. Well, it's definitely a lot of room. It's going to be waterproof. I can see, I've had enough experience in the outdoors and with clothing to know if something's going to be waterproof. This will be waterproof. The disadvantages are you don't have overhanging sleeves or shoulder pads that extend to give you waterproof. Anytime you stick your hands out, I can potentially see you could be getting wet if it is torrential. As long as you keep yourself inside the poncho, you're going to be good to go. The hood is looking like it's going to be a bit of a flap hazard, but I'll have to work something out with that. Other ponchos that you can make shelters from, this doesn't have that capability. I think that you could manufacture something in with it to possibly do that, but as it is, it doesn't really come with that option. So basically you don't have shelter building option with it. You have to use it as the shelter as it is, you just being in it. It's heavy, and on top of that, you don't have the ability to mold and shape the hood or anything like that. But I still think it was a fantastic purchase. I'm more than happy with it. So I was supposed to be training with it to go on the Highland Way. I want to actually, get out in the elements with it. That's not going to happen now for at least 3 to 4 weeks. That's the length of time they're saying I will need to not do any hard, strenuous exercise. I will have a period of 5 to 6 weeks after that before I am actually on the trail. So I will be testing this hard and fast once I have the ability back to do so. And I'll bring you guys along with that, and I'll give you the final verdict on it. But if it was good enough for the Swedish military, I'm sure it's good enough for me out here in Cornwall and up in the Scottish Highlands. So yeah, Alpenflage. Take care, stay safe, and hope to catch you guys on the trail.